Hello, everybody. This is Carla again, and this time I'm here to review the first episode of the second half of the fifth season of the SyFy show Haven. Wow, that was a mouthful to say. Basically, this is episode 14 of season 5, although really it's like episode 1 of season 6. I don't quite know why they separate it that way, because it's been a year since season 5, so why not just do season 6, but whatever, that's the way they split it, so I have to go with it. So episode 14 of season 5, and it's titled New World Order. And can I just say, I have missed this show so much. Like, Haven is one of my favorite shows of all time. I love it, and because it's just like a short season, usually 12-13 episodes, the hiatus between seasons is extremely long and painful for me. So I'm really glad the show is back, and honestly it seems to be back stronger than ever. I had a lot of problems with season 5, at least with the first half, and honestly, like, the peak of the show was really seasons 2 and 3. After that, season 4 was kind of and season 5 was okay-ish, because we got a lot of answers about what the heck is going on in Haven, but the episodes themselves and the character arcs themselves weren't necessarily my favorites. I wasn't a fan of the Mara twist, although seeing Emily Rose playing a villain is always fun, but I wasn't necessarily fond of it. But I mean, I liked 5 better than 4, but still, it wasn't the best. But this time around, like, I think, like, what comes from Mara, just everything that happens now that Mara's gone, if this episode is any indication, it's going to be explosive. And I don't mean that just as a pun, because there was a girl who was exploding things in this episode, but just in general, I thought this episode was really intense in a good way, and I really liked it. I like the idea that, because I mean, Haven was always about the troubles and Audrey and her team kind of trying to figure out how to diffuse them. That was always the core of Haven for me. So I like that they seem to have gone back to that, but in a larger scale. The idea of an entire town of trouble people is insanely scary. Like, seriously, it was scary enough when it was just like 1 every 200 or something. Now that everybody could be troubled, it's crazy scary. And just the idea that even people who are troubled can now have a different trouble, and people who weren't troubled have trouble, like, in just how do you deal with that insanity? It's incredible, and I just love that they've gone all in. I mean, I'm still kind of hoping that this won't be the last season, because I really love this show and I don't want it to ever end. But if this is the last season, I think it's great that they're going all in and just making it huge and impactful, and I'm very glad for that. This episode had that feeling, and I was kind of like reeling by the end of it. I really liked it. I like the idea that that Audrey's not immune anymore. I mean, I know she should still be immune to some troubles, like the ones that Mara originally caused, but she's not immune to most of them, which is the ones that Duke caused after his little trouble puke. So that, I like the idea that she's not immune anymore. And it's a matter, because it was never the fact that Audrey was immune. That wasn't what was special about Audrey. What was special about Audrey is that she knows how to handle troubled people, how to calm them down, how to get them to take trouble kind of back inside them so that it doesn't hurt anybody. That's what's special about Audrey, and I like that she's not immune, because that means she has to rely on that now. And since that was kind of what drew us to her in the first place, that's great that she has to do that. She's virtually forced to do that now. I'm not entirely happy that Duke left, but I can understand it, because really, part of what I didn't like about season 5 was the fact that Duke was just making bad decisions like, whoa. I mean, seriously, he should never have shacked up with Mara. Let's face it, it was just bad decision. And I'm not necessarily blaming him for it, but I can understand how he would feel guilty for it. And, Duke, he's grown a lot through the series, but I understand that he's feeling so guilty right now that he's kind of reversed back to his old days where he thought he didn't need anybody and he could just split when the things get rough. So I understand. I expect him to come back at some point, because come on, it's Haven. You can't have Haven without Duke, let's face it. But yeah, I mean, it's momentarily kind of tense, but I don't blame him. I understand why he did it, and I expect him to come back, because Duke's a stand-up guy and he will do the right thing in the end. I'm sure of it. As far as the whole guard thing, disbanding the HPD and whatever, I thought it was a great move. First of all, it was great that they finally up and told people about the troubles, because, come on, it's been, 6 years? And you're still trying to pretend like the troubles don't exist? Okay, you can't do that anymore, honey, so, yeah. And so I really like that, first that Nathan and Dwight finally told the other cops what the troubles were. By the way, Stan's reaction was so perfect. I laughed so hard, because seriously, wouldn't you just react like that if they'd come up and tell you this crazy, insane story about people with magical powers? Like, seriously, you have to be like, what? And Stan, Glenn Lefchuk is just fabulous, so it was an amazing scene. And then after that, when it becomes obvious that people's fears are just feeding up the troubles, you have to tell people. You have to, because there's just no other way. I don't necessarily agree with Dwight totally disbanding Haven Police Department, but I like it. It was intense. It's basically, things have gotten so bad that Haven is under the guards' martial law, basically. It's anarchy. So the guard has to take care of it, and it makes sense, honestly, because obviously the police, with all their rules and all their procedures, they just aren't well equipped to deal with it. I do like that Nathan sticks to it, though. First of all, I've been waiting for a long time for Nathan to be chief again. Let's face it, he's had it coming for a long while, and he was chief for such a short time that you could barely enjoy it. So I like that he's chief again. Not necessarily the best circumstances for it, but I like it. And it also leads me to another point, is that this episode had a lot of references to the previous seasons. And if you know me, you know that I love shout-outs to previous seasons and ties in to previous seasons. And this episode had a lot of them. Really small, but a lot of them. Like, that guy that could make earthquakes. That was Nathan's father's trouble. Remember, he could create earthquakes that destroyed the lighthouse once again. It's been destroyed a few times, but he destroyed the lighthouse with the shake of the earth. And it's funny, because when this one happened, you saw the guy at the beach, right? And there was a sand tower, actually. and when the Earth started shaking, the sand tower fell down. So I thought that was really cool because it's like a flashback to when Chief Warner's died. Also, mentions of Jennifer, which, I was really mad at the writers of season 5 because it was like they suddenly just forgot about Jennifer. So I like that they mention her. I like that the rings have a purpose. Finally, we're getting to know what they're for. So it's really great. And just a lot of little things. Dave's relation to the Colorado kid and the fact that they never found any cause of death for the Colorado kid. Like, I like that any mention of the Colorado kid is good because, hey, we're still waiting for James to come back, remember? So, yeah, might be a good sign that he's going to pop up later on somehow. The barn. The mention of the barn was fantastic because really we never did learn what the heck was going on with the barn, and now we know. And it might not be what Audrey thought it would be, but I like the fact that we know. I love the fact that we finally get the point of it. It's not that Audrey killing someone she loved was going to necessarily stop the troubles. It was going to kill everybody who had troubles, a la Duke, but in like a large scale. So that's interesting. Now, about that, I don't necessarily think Charlotte is a bad person necessarily. Like, I think she's been so far removed. It's like Mara. Like, it goes to your head. The power to do all these things, it goes to your head. And maybe Charlotte is not as bad as Mara, but she's a little, I think she feels she's a little bit above everybody in Haven. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just the way her culture and her society have been developed in a way. It's like you can, when you start playing with people's lives, it's a bit of a god complex in a sense. It's like when people say that surgeons think they're so above everybody else because they have your life or death in their hands. It's kind of like that. It's like you play puppeteer with people's lives so much that eventually people's lives just start losing value in your eyes. So it's like she could see that a lot of people were going to die, but in the end she thought it was an acceptable loss because those people were people that her creation destroyed already, basically. It's like, not hers, but Mara's, but still. As they were like science flukes or something, so she could destroy them in order to rid the world of Mara's experiments in a way. The thing about Charlotte is that she realizes that it sounds cruel. Mara never did, honestly. And Charlotte can at least see that it was cruel, and I think now that she's stuck in Haven, she's definitely going to try and figure out a way to solve it for real. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think she's a bad woman. I think I can't blame Audrey for telling her to get the heck away from her and from Haven. But at the same time, I think Charlotte in the end is going to see that Audrey truly cares about Haven, and then there's so many good people in Haven. That's one good thing that comes out of being stuck in a place. It's that basically you just get to know everybody who's in there and you bond with them. So I think that's going to have that effect on Charlotte, and she's going to try fight for Haven and try to find a cure for the troubles somehow. I'm not sure how she's going to do it, but it'll happen somehow. Now, the thing that I like the most about this episode is actually, there's two things. First, there's the fact that troubles don't disappear when the person dies, which is interesting because now everybody's just stuck in Haven. And that means that basically this whole show has become one big closed room mystery kind of thing. It's like Clue, but bigger. And the fact that they actually have a serial killer in the midst, it's great. Seriously, it's, Dr. Plum in the library with the candlestick. So I love closed room mysteries, so I'm really into this, the fact that nobody can leave. And also the fact that it sort of amplifies people's fears, and so it makes the troubles stronger. It's a vicious cycle that just keeps on growing and growing until everything explodes, and our heroes have to find a solution for it. It's like no small feat, right? So I really like that, the idea that they just can't leave. I mean, I see it makes a lot of sense too, because the first time I saw the fog, because I remember we saw it and it seemed like a really big wall of fog, but then later on Audrey and Nathan and Vince and Dave are looking at it from a hilltop, and it doesn't go that high. So I'm like, why can't you just take a plane out of Haven? And then I remembered Haven is a small town, so it probably doesn't have an airport. And then everything makes sense. I'm like, this is genius thinking right here, And related to that is the fact that at the very end of the episode, Duke runs into this guy, this trucker guy who gives him a lift, and basically he says, do you come from Haven? Which, by the way, it's a stupid question, Duke, because obviously nobody can leave Haven at this point. But then the guy just responds that he's never heard of Haven. And I love that, because I remember back in season 1, when everybody was, trying to theorize about what the heck is so special about Haven, why are troubled people only living here, I'm like, well, this is based off a Stephen King novel. What if Haven is just like some town in a different dimension or something? Like, what if it's not actually here on Earth? Like, what if, if you came in from like Maine into Haven, maybe there's no Haven, like it's a weird dimensional thing where people on the inside think they're on Earth, but people on the outside can actually see it. That was one of the biggest theories that I had at the beginning. Of course, later on, when people coming in and going out of Haven, it was like, no, maybe that's not really a thing, and it was just baseless theory, whatever. I thought it would be cool to see it, but I'm like, okay, it's not that. But now it can actually be that. And I don't know if it's always been this way. I don't think so, because we had 5 seasons of people going in and out of Haven without much problem. But at the same time, what if this fog actually made it that way? Like, what if the fog is not just a barrier? What if it's, kind of the borderline between separate dimensions? Kind of like a thingy, but without the man-eating thing floating inside. So I find that really interesting. Or what if the fog is just like a memory erasing device? Like, whoever comes from the outside just can't see or even remember a Haven. What if it just wipes your memory or something? That could be really interesting. So that was a part that really caught my attention, and that's why I can't wait to go see the next episode, which I will do right now. So I will shut my mouth right now so I can do that. So yeah, basically, I really love this episode. I could go on for like 20 minutes more about all the things I liked about this, but I really, really enjoyed this episode, and I have really high hopes for this season now. So looking forward to it, and let's hope it's a great last season. If it really is the last season, which I'm not really convinced about yet. Anyway, that's it for my review, I guess. I'll see you in the next one, which will probably be for part 2. Or for the second episode, really. So I'll see you then, and for the moment, be sure to visit thegeekypub.com, which is our website where we host a bunch of other reviews, not just for Haven, but for other TV shows, movies, books, you name it, we have it. So be sure to check that out, and I will see you guys later. Bye.